Saddam Hussein became Iraq's leader using a secret police force to crush opposition. He portrayed himself as a powerful and modern leader, but his oppressive regime caused the death of many. Even after his death, Saddam's legacy continues to divide people. In this video, we'll explore Saddam Hussein's rise to power, his brutal rule, and the lasting impact he had. Join us for a dive into Saddam Hussein's complex history. For over 20 years, Saddam Hussein strangled the life out of the Iraqi people. This brutal dictator started from nothing and, by age 20, joined an extremist group in which he would quickly rise through the ranks. He went to law school, spent time in jail, and betrayed some of his closest friends to seize power. Saddam sentenced hundreds of people to death to ensure no one could oppose his power. He tortured and killed thousands of Iraqi civilians. He was one of the most brutal dictators in history, and his rise to power reflects the horror that would become his reign. Let's know more about his early life. On April 28, 1937, Saddam Hussein was born in Al-Auja, a small village in Iraq. Raised in poverty and facing personal hardships, Saddam experienced a difficult childhood. He later moved to Baghdad, where he endured bullying and violence. These early experiences, while not an excuse for his actions, shed light on the makings of an insane dictator. In 1957, at 20, Saddam Hussein joined the Ba'ath Party, which advocated for a pan-Arab socialist nation. The party sought power and control rather than the well-being of the masses. Saddam attended law school in Cairo but returned to Iraq when the Ba'ath Party took control of the government. However, their reign was short-lived and Saddam was imprisoned, reflecting on his party's failures. Released from prison, Saddam Hussein became one of the most influential leaders in the Ba'ath Party. He organized a private security force to eliminate opposition and terrorize civilians. In 1968, the Ba'athists launched another revolution, with Saddam playing a pivotal role. They successfully overthrew President Abdel Salam Arif's regime, and Saddam's right-hand man, Ahmad Hassan al-Bakr, became the new president. Saddam wielded power behind the scenes, ensuring absolute control. With al-Bakr as the figurehead, Saddam Hussein worked to modernize Iraq, investing in infrastructure, healthcare, social services, and education. However, his reforms were coupled with brutal oppression. Saddam's regime controlled the media, silenced dissent, and engaged in public displays of force. He developed chemical weapons, expanded the security apparatus, and used terror tactics to maintain control. Within the Ba'ath Party, tensions arose, with some members seeking a more socialist structure and lenient foreign policy. Saddam swiftly dealt with dissent, arresting and exiling key figures. He purged thousands of officers from the military, ensuring loyalty and control. The government operated without real elections, consolidating power in the hands of Saddam and his loyalists. In the aftermath of nearly a decade of fighting and disruptions in oil production and exports, one would expect a leader to focus on helping their country's economic recovery. However, Saddam Hussein had different plans. Rather than addressing the economic and social needs of the Iraqi people, he chose to pour money into his military, neglecting crucial sectors such as healthcare and education. As a result of Saddam's misguided priorities, the economy of Iraq began to collapse, leading to widespread suffering among the population. Rather than addressing these issues at home, Saddam turned his attention toward invading Kuwait, a nation rich in oil reserves. He planned to use Kuwait's resources to pay off Iraqis' debts and improve the economy. Saddam's invasion of Kuwait, however, backfired on the international stage. Countries worldwide enacted trade embargoes against Iraq, and the United Nations passed resolutions condemning Saddam's use of force. The United States led a joint military mission to combat Saddam's forces and push them out of Kuwait, marking the beginning of the Persian Gulf War. The Gulf War saw relentless bombing campaigns and a swift defeat for Saddam's forces. Despite being forced out of Kuwait, Saddam claimed the conflict as a victory for Iraq, using his control over the media to shape the narrative. However, not everyone in Iraq was fooled. The Shiite majority and the Kurds, who had suffered under Saddam's regime, began to rebel. Saddam's regime responded to the uprisings with brutal suppression. Thousands of Shia Muslims and Kurds were forced to flee the country, while those captured faced torture and death. Iraq's economy was in shambles, and human rights violations were rampant. The international community was closely watched as Iraq teetered on the brink of collapse. Saddam's refusal to comply with UN mandates and inspections sealed his fate. The United States and Great Britain launched airstrikes in 1998, further escalating tensions. The events of September 11, 2001 intensified concerns about Saddam harboring terrorist groups and led to increased pressure on Iraq. The US stepped up its military presence and inspections within Iraq. With diplomacy failing, the United States and Britain initiated the Iraq War in 2003. Their main objective was to remove Saddam Hussein from power. The war began with airstrikes and ground operations to find Saddam, either dead or alive. After months of searching, Saddam was discovered hiding in a hole near his birthplace. Saddam Hussein was captured and subsequently brought to trial for his crimes against humanity. His trial lasted for months, and he was ultimately sentenced to death by hanging. On December 30, 2006, Saddam Hussein was executed. His death marked the end of his oppressive regime but left a power vacuum in Iraq. The execution further deepened the sectarian divisions within the country, as Saddam's Sunni supporters felt marginalized and retaliatory violence escalated. Following Saddam's downfall, Iraq descended into a prolonged period of instability and violence. The power vacuum left by his regime's collapse allowed various insurgent groups, including Al-Qaeda and later the Islamic State, IS, to gain a foothold in the country. Iraq became a battleground for sectarian conflicts, leading to a wave of bombings, assassinations, and suicide attacks. The ongoing conflict in Iraq resulted in a severe humanitarian crisis, with millions of Iraqis displaced from their homes and seeking refuge in neighboring countries. Civilian casualties were tragically high, with Iraqis suffering from the devastating consequences of war and internal strife. The toll on the population's physical and mental well-being was immeasurable. In the aftermath of Saddam's downfall, rebuilding Iraq and establishing a stable democracy proved to be a difficult challenge. The country faced significant obstacles, including political divisions, corruption, and the continued threat of insurgent groups. Reconstructing infrastructure, revitalizing the economy, and reconciling sectarian tensions became crucial priorities. For several years, the United States and its coalition partners gradually scaled back their military involvement in Iraq. As time passed, a significant milestone was reached in 2011 when foreign troops began withdrawing from the region. Sadly, this transition coincided with a distressing resurgence of violence and internal conflicts within Iraq. In the midst of this upheaval, the Islamic State cunningly seized the opportunity presented by the power vacuum left by departing forces and swiftly took hold of extensive stretches of land. This distressing turn of events exacerbated Iraq's already tumultuous state of affairs, plunging the nation into even deeper chaos. In the present day, Iraq finds itself locked in a complex struggle, navigating the intricate aftermath of Saddam Hussein's authoritarian regime and the prolonged years of conflict that followed. Determined efforts are underway to stabilize the nation and reconstruct its institutions, despite encountering numerous obstacles. The path to progress has been arduous, marked by slow advancements and formidable challenges. The people of Iraq hold steadfast to their aspirations for a future characterized by peace, security, and prosperity. Tirelessly, they endeavor to surmount the enduring legacy of brutality and division by Saddam's tyrannical rule. Every day, Iraqis work hand in hand to rebuild their shattered communities, reconcile deep-rooted divisions, and restore a sense of unity among their diverse population. Though the road ahead may be fraught with uncertainties, the unwavering resilience and determination of the Iraqi people serve as a beacon of hope. With resilience and perseverance, they strive to reshape their nation, forging a path toward a brighter future and a more stable society that embraces inclusivity, democracy, and the principles of justice. The reign of Saddam Hussein was marked by brutality, aggression, and the suffering of the Iraqi people. His misplaced priorities, international conflicts, and repression of dissent ultimately led to his downfall and the destabilization of Iraq. The consequences of his rule continue to shape the country's present struggles and prospects. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the brutal emergence of Saddam Hussein as Iraqi's leader. We hope this exploration has shed light on the complexities of his reign and the impact it had on Iraq and the world. Remember, history serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of unchecked power and the importance of striving for peace and justice. Don't forget to like and share this video, and as always, thank you for watching.